So are you shooting technicals for the team from now on?
I wish. If we ever get any. No, I'm just kidding. All right, here we go.
We got the Lakers tomorrow night. They struggled right out of the gate, but they got enough old guys that they know how to turn it around. What do you see when you look at that?
Well, they certainly have figured a lot out. They're playing very well right now. Obviously, their two superstars are playing at an incredible high level, and I always think that lifts, the people around you. You talk about what effects the great players have is a lot of times they do make the others around them a lot better. So I think it starts with those guys and just their pop, their energy, their skill that they're displaying now, their scoring, but they're still also making a lot of right plays and getting these other guys, involved and making them have really good opportunities. So I think those guys are taking advantage of it.
Look at a guy like Davis who's sort of been, injury up and down, didn't play a lot, played a lot. But these last 2 games has been unreal.
Unreal.
What do you see? He's not shooting a lot of jumpers. He's dominating in the paint.
Yeah, well, he's getting the ball in some really good areas, and when he does, he's really working hard, like prior to getting the ball, so he's getting it on a lot of angles, and when he does get it, he's going quick, and again, he's just getting clearance, a lot of clearance over to the top of people, and he's got tremendous touch and stuff, especially at the moment. Like everything he's doing looks really smooth and in the heart of the basket. So. And he's not the easiest guy to double team because he does move so quick once he catches it, because he's done the early work to get the seal or the angles or those kind of things. But the hardest thing with both of those guys is they will hurt you from all over the court, right? Inside, outside, shooting. They're both involved in a tons of screen and rolls in all ways, setting and handling. Especially LeBron. You got a long list of things you got to get ready for with those guys.
Davis has got to change his shot diet a little more. It looks like he's doing well. Screen and roll, close to the basket, not as much picking up. Is that situation you double kind of before the catch?
Well, it's one of the ways that a lot of these good guys in the league get themselves involved is by setting. You probably saw a little bit of it late last night, Tatum setting and finding some kind of angle on the switch to get the ball back quickly. Embiid does that, Giannis does that, LeBron does that, Davis is doing it a lot too. So it's kind of, everybody talks about, just, put those guys and switch them, whatever, but the angles change and it's not always that easy to make that switch. It's the next part of it, when you got a scheme, it's now what happens on the next part of your plan, where you're rotating from, who's helping, can you get enough of the passes redirected or at least buy some time with them with some good hands, up high hands and things like that. So there's a lot going on out there.
You guys in the past, when guys have had shooting slumps, you come in here, you turn on the analytics and start looking at every little thing.
Yeah.
Are you seeing anything with Fred? Is it all still green, or is there one aspect of the Trinity that is a little off?
No, I think his normally his numbers on his right left, his straightness are just off the charts, and that is the one that's got a little off kilter a little bit for him, which it's a bit strange because that's one of those things that once you dial that in your mechanics, that one doesn't leave you very often. Right? That one, no matter how tired you are or how deep you're shooting or whatever, you still get it to come off your hand the same way with some straightness, and that's the one that has got a little bit of a wrinkle for him right now that he's got to get ironed out.
How do you fix that?
Oh, he's just got to work on it a little bit, and we do what you already said. We get in here and we concentrate on that one aspect, and it usually can change pretty quickly. Well, I would say that there has been a lot of extra attention towards him today. Probably one of the better examples was Orlando the other night, because he was. We ran numerous sets for him where he was open, like normally open, and at some point either the last screener made a really hard switch out to his body, or the guy who was chasing him who took a bad route or we picked him off earlier in the play would race around and again, just like sprint right to his body. So things that looked like they were going to be nice catch and shoots for him turned into get off the ball things, right? So that definitely was game planned by them and executed really well. Again, looking at last night's, he had, just again, I think he had 14 shots. I think that's right. And I would say, 9 or 10 of them were really good, really good looks. And there was a few that he, again, got hung up in the lane a little bit. But again, even some of those weren't that contested, at 8 to 10 feet. So, and him just figuring out the rhythms of how people are playing him is part of the challenge there.
Nick, you kind of talked about this with Scotty, but with the team as a whole, why is it so much harder to do it the second time as opposed to kind of that first time with the young group? We see a lot of teams in the league right now having a lot of success, but that second time seems to be really hard for teams to kind of replicate.
I think, again, like, look at last night's game. We played some really, really good basketball for really long stretches last night. We did, after watching the tape, just have too many just kind of unforced errors. I think we looked at the tape and we had 7 numbers breaks last night where we turned it over. Like we steal the ball and we're out ahead and we've got numbers and we're not even getting an attempt up there. And those got to be in the basket or at the free throw line. They got to be. Or a wide open, transition, touch the paint, kick out 3. So just, those kind of things when you play that well are going to probably get you just on the wrong end of the scoreboard against a really good team, right? So get back to your question. I think I don't quite know where we are now, but I think going into last night's game, we're like 2 games ahead of where we were a year ago. And I know it doesn't feel like that to anybody because maybe expectations are so much higher or whatever, but I would say I think we're really on the right track. We're making some progress. We've had and still do have tons of impact guys out. We've had a rough year injury-wise, and that's gonna, So I think at one hand you could look at it and say, we're doing okay. We're hanging in here through a lot of tough breaks right now, and I think if we just hang in there and keep improving a little bit, we'll get things squared away and be really tough to beat.
Coach, when you think about the third quarter that Boston had, and then also when you look at the Lakers, start of the season not so great, but then they're able to turn it on. What's the difference between teams that just know how to be comfortable with pressure moments and getting things done?
Well, I think that in the case of last night, I think you'd probably expect that team to try to kind of get the game to halftime, coming off a back-to-back, then decide they were going to amp up just a little bit and play a little better. But again, I'm gonna go back to I rewatched the tape, and it wasn't like we crumbled down there. We missed our first wide open shots of the second half. It doesn't get to looking any better, and we just didn't knock them in, and that again is going to put a little pressure on your D. Then, some of the things that we were executing flawlessly in the first half defensively didn't quite get done. Just for example, like we tried to make a cognizant effort to take Tatum and Brown's 3 ball out of the game, and we did that until that quarter, right? And then they got a few. They were tough shots, but they weren't supposed to even get them. We're trying to execute a scheme where we force them off the 3-point line, and we kind of let them dance a few times, and they made us pay, right? Again, just a little bit cleaner on a few more possessions, and there's a chance to come out of there with a W last night.
You can't be surprised at how the Lakers have sort of found themselves in the last 7 or 8 games after a rather slow start because they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they have a veteran, great veteran leader in Brian, obviously like AD. So with having those 2 guys and, having other guys out there that's actually played in the league for a little bit, it helps. Russ, obviously, so, when you have, 3 of, some of the greatest players that play this game, things will shift. Things will start going in your favor because, you have guys that know how to play. So, for us, we just got to go out there and just, make sure we impose our will on the game and make sure we try to take, 2 of the 3 out of the game. But for those guys, things are always like shift in their favor because they have so much veteran experience and veteran leadership. Arguably, they're playing with the greatest, or if not, the top 3 greatest player in the game. So, things are always kind of like shift because you have somebody like that on your roster.
And even with a guy like Davis, who's doing a lot more rolling instead of popping, he sort of remade his game to fit in with what he has to do, right?
He's been amazing
Yeah.
this season so far. He's been going out there and playing some great basketball. I think he's been a little bit more aggressive than he has been in the past couple of years. But another thing too is like he's healthy. He's going out there, he's able to play, and he's when you don't have a healthy AD, then the whole landscape of your team changes. But when you have a healthy AD, it's a big difference, But he's been playing amazing this year. He's been playing with a lot of, aggressive nature, a lot of tenacity, rebounding the basketball, blocking shots, scoring the basketball from, variety of ways, not just jumpers, but going out there and making sure he imposes his will on the basket. And I think that has always made him, who he is as a player. He puts so much pressure on the rim that it just makes it better for the team overall.
Do you think there's anything to the idea that it's sometimes harder to do it the second year with like a young team?
Say that again?
That it's sometimes harder to do it the second time around with a young team, where the first year everything is new and everything is like exciting, especially for the younger players. And the second year, some of that stuff becomes harder to replicate.
Yeah, for sure. For the simple fact of like now teams understand you, they understand who you are, they understand what your identity is. So, they try to take away those strengths and make you play to your weaknesses. So, for us, like I said, it's always for us is just going out there and imposing our will on the game. Some games we try to kind of like coast into it, and we can't do that. We don't have the leeway to actually do that. We have to come out and impose our will on the game. We have a big, strong, physical team. Not the biggest as far as like centers and stuff, but across the board from the forward position, we have a lot of guys that are the same size guys, 6'8", 6'9", athletic guys that can go out and rebound the basketball, be physical, be a force. And we just have to impose that will on the game. And if we do, then it puts us in a way better position to win.
Pascal was saying that you guys are kind of missing out on the little details right now. And
Yes.
your focus can be a bit better. Do you attribute that to some things like, guys being in and out of rotations and adjusting to that, some inexperience still?
I think it can be all across the board, a little bit of all of the stuff that you just said. But at the end of the day, it's still something that we have to come back and get to the drawing board on and look at. When we see the small details, one thing about the film sessions, they don't lie. They can't tell us a lie because it's what you're doing out there, live at that current moment. So, for us, we have to pay attention to the small details, do the small details, because those things, if you have 25 small things, those lead to 25 points or 50 points. So just small details that we have to really pay attention to and buckle down on and limit our mistakes. I think transition killed us a little bit, on both sides of the basketball. We didn't get stops in transition, nor did we convert in transition. Limited those type of things. And then, our assists, we got to get our assists up a little bit more. We're making the passes, but, sometimes they might be, it might be too much of a last second pass, or we might, dribble the ball 1 or 2 more times than we should have, so we have to get good passes, good assists, make sure that, we're converting in transition on both sides of the basketball, getting stops and scoring the basketball, and then just continue to impose our will defensively, paying attention to the small details.
Is one of those details even bench celebrations and helping guys off the floor? When you go back and watch the film, it was really evident with the Celtics. They were doing that on almost every play. Is that something that could improve on this team as well?
I wouldn't say it has to improve for the simple fact of I think guys are cheering. You just have some teams that's not as up, as much as other guys. But we're cheering, we're talking to each other, we're helping guys through. You might see me talking, you might see, Malachi talking to somebody, you might see Delano talking to somebody. Guys are talking and cheering, guys are clapping, guys are, still up and upbeat about, the situation at hand, especially when we're going on a run or we're getting ready to come back, stuff like that. But I don't think that has a factor. I think the factor is that the small little things throughout the course of a game is killing us, and we have to figure out how to, plug the holes and make sure that there's no leaks.
Where's the message getting lost? Is it coaching staff
I wouldn't say the message is lost at all. There's no loss in the message. We know what we have to do. I think the biggest part is just going out there and doing. The one thing the coaches can't do, they can't go out there and play for us. We have to play for ourselves and play, with some aggressive nature and play with, tenacity and make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do. They're giving us the game plan. We just have to go out and execute it to the best of our abilities. But no message is lost. They're giving us the message. We're taking it and we're going out there and trying to do it. But there's no message lost. We all know what we need to do.
You mentioned getting the assists up, and just by the nature of the way you guys play, there's a lot of isolations, a lot of mismatches on transition. It's not really heavy pick and roll, heavy side to side to side sort of offense. So how do you get the assists up within that style?
Just continuing to move the basketball to the right areas. Sometimes we might make a pass and, like I said, it might be too late, or we might make a pass and that pass is not the actual read that we needed. But the thing about it is guys are actually passing the ball. We're moving the basketball. It's just sometimes we might move it too much or too little. And against a team like the Celtics, you have to be just right. Because they're not going to kill themselves. We have to make sure we impose that will to make them kill themselves. So small details, small things. We can. It's all correctable stuff, and we just got to correct it.
What I guess can a team do to get comfortable with pressure moments? You saw that third quarter, of course, Boston rose to the occasion, but then even the Lakers overall, the season starts the way that they don't want it to go, then they turn things around. What separates a team from good to great in those moments?
Just staying poised throughout the good moments and the bad moments. Being able to fight adverse situations. That's one of the things that you're always going to be faced with throughout the course of basketball because there's so much trial and error in basketball. But just being able to fight through adverse situations, just making sure that when you're out there, you're taking advantage of the moment and the opportunity, and just making sure all five guys are on court. But one of the biggest things is also communication. Our communication level has to be there, at all times, for us to overcome any battle.
Can you remember a time in your career where you went through some sort of extended slump?
Yeah, I mean,
what does that feel like?
Over a 16-year career, you have a lot of those.
How do you get out of that, or what does that feel like?
You just get out of your own head and just play. But for me, and how I play, my biggest thing has never been just predicated on, we talk about slumps, and everybody look at slumps from, he's not scoring the basketball. For me, it's always been, I don't need to score the basketball to impose my will on the basketball game. It's been games this year where I've had 0 points, but I've had 8 rebounds or, 4 or 5 assists or, 4 or 5 steals, stuff like that. So just making sure that you're always going to be there and your presence is felt, throughout some type of part of the game. It doesn't always have to be scoring, and I think that's how, the new league is now. Everybody has to score the basketball, and this, and sometimes you don't have to score the basketball in order to win a basketball game, and it's been proven.
With Fred, who is relied on for a fair bit of perimeter shooting on this team, I mean, he has such a track record. When he's in a stretch like this, is it Fred's really struggling right now, or when it goes out to him, are you Fred, that's our best shooter, he's going to knock this one down? What does it feel like?
We still have the confidence that he's going to knock every one of them down. Just because he's not having the best night doesn't mean that he isn't the best player that we need to have on the court for us. Fred brings a lot of attention to to himself. As far as getting guys to double him and them having the guard screen and roll, and he's able to make plays for other guys. He's a smart basketball player. He's one of the best basketball players I've played with, one of the best minds I've played with. So at the end of the day, if he's not having the best game, it's still better than what we have probably had on the court at any point in time, because of some fact of he brings so much attention to him, and that helps us out because now you have 2 guys guarding Fred, and then some guy is open on the court, and he's going to find and make the right read and make the right play.
What's the most unique thing you've tried to get out of your own head when you're in the moment?
The most unique thing? Shit, I don't know. I'll probably just say the fact that I don't need to score the basketball in order to be efficient. Just those type of things. Like, I might miss 3 or 4 shots and be in my head, but then I start thinking about it like, okay, get back on defense and get a steal, get it back for us, or get the rebound, get it back for us. Or if I miss a shot, get the offensive rebound, get a kick out, and get somebody else a good shot, a great shot. So those type of things that I try to like put in my head if I'm not having the best game scoring wise.
I guess I meant more like away from the game to like disconnect, stop thinking about it, that type of thing.
Oh, like what did I do to get away from it?
Yeah.
Oh, I got kids at home, so I got kids and a wife at home. So when I'm going home, like, yeah, I'm thinking about basketball, but then when I see the smiles on my family's faces and, I'm having a conversation with them, I'm able to talk to my kids about different things and talk to my wife about different things, like that's my getaway, like you always need something to kind of get away from, and that's my getaway, my family.
Do you feel like you're almost in the right place at the right time right now, just in terms of being with a really talented team, but one that needs some veteran direction, and you're do you embrace that right now?
Yeah, I mean, I embrace whatever role that a team has for me. As long as there's the communication and they're talking to me about what they need from me, then I'm going to try to do it to the best of my abilities. But obviously, we had a string of injuries, and I had to step into a different role. And it gave me an opportunity to really show, my value to this team and what I can do. And, I took advantage of it and still is to this day. But, I think for me, it's just going out there and just making sure that whatever time that I do get, I'm imposing my will on the game and I'm making my presence felt, and, I'm doing things that's going to help us win.
Fred, even though they're not falling right now, are you happy with the looks you're getting and the shots you're taking?
I think so. I mean, some of them are great looks. Shots that I take. Some of them are a little more contested in the fields in the game when I go back and break the film down. But it's just one of those things. They're not going right now, and I just need a spark to turn it around. And not really concerned about it. Obviously, I would like to be. Nobody wants them to go in more than me. Trust me. But it's just the way it goes sometimes. So just can't get too high or too low with it, and just keep working and trying to find ways to get better.
You haven't been in a lot of these extended funks over the course of your career, but do you go back and look at some of those and how you got out of them and take anything away from that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, some of it is very situational, so it's hard to try to translate that, but once you're in it, it's all just mental, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing really more to it, it's just mental. Just trying to find a flow and a rhythm to what we got going on, and probably just a product of the situation. It hasn't been pretty out there for me personally, so just got to go back to the drawing board, find ways to be successful, and I'll do that. I'm not concerned about it.
When you look at you go over clips or tape, are you looking more at your 3-point looks or kind of at the rim and the paint?
I look at everything just to see. It happens so fast out there that when you look at the tape, you might see other things. So you just look and see, make sure your fundamentals are in shape and your skill is and everything is and you just gotta go out there and make them. It's a fine line between making them and missing them, and over the last week I've been missing them, and I'll get back to it soon. Yeah. Yes. There's a lot going on. A lot going on all across the board. I'm not really gonna go run down the list with you guys. I'll just play better, and then you have better things to talk about. But there's definitely a lot of reasons for this situation I'm in, and I'm going to continue to just keep working and showing up, being professional, and giving everything I got when I step out there. So hopefully, turn around soon.
A lot of teams earlier this season were wondering whether the Lakers were going to be any good, they're old, they're going to bench, blah blah blah. But now they're rolling.
Yeah.
What do you see when you look at guys like that?
You still got LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook. They filled some pieces around the board. Lonnie Walker was a good addition. Austin Reeves is playing great. They got players. And Coach Ham and the staff are doing a great job of getting those guys and the identity and how they want to play. And sometimes you need a little adversity to, you know, knock you into shape a little bit. I think they went through that. It's good to go through it early, and now they're finding, you know, who they want to be. So definitely a tough team to play right now.
They got some veteran players that probably been through all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they've been around the block a little bit, so they've seen it all. And you know, the level that AD's playing at right now, it makes them a tough team to play any night when he's rolling like that. So that definitely could change the dynamic of your team.
Fred, there's the style, obviously, that you guys want to play, creating extra possessions, turnovers, getting out and running. Do you feel like you guys are able to win in different ways right now when like, let's say you guys aren't winning the possession battle or the game isn't going exactly the way that you want it to go?
I think it's been a little bit of both. Like, we've seen a lot. I mean, what are we, 24 games in, I think? You know what I mean? I think we've seen a lot. We've seen good losses, bad wins, good wins. Like, we've seen a lot of different things. We're not really where we need to be. And that's not a bad place to be. You just got to grow out of it. I mean, we just got to make that jump if we want to be a great team. I talked about it the other day. I think we're a really good team. I think we got a lot of talent, and we got good players, but, like, there's a level that you have to get to of just consistency and execution and attention to detail. And those are the things that we're struggling on right now, and that's why you see the lack of consistency. It's hard to win every night in this league if you're not going to be sharp and attentive, and you know, you make too many mistakes, you beat yourself. And we just got to get to the point to where we're not beating ourselves.
When you talk about that inconsistency, do you see you guys taking steps in the right direction, or do you still feel like you never know what you're going to kind of get on a night-to-night basis?
No, I think we're trending in the right direction. Again, we had a tough stretch of, you know, guys being out and, you know, unhealthy, and tough schedule, and now we're getting back and everybody's, you know, we're trying to figure out what it's going to look like all together. So it's early, man. We got a long way to go. It's a long season, and I'm confident that, you know, we'll turn out to be who we think we are at a certain point. It's just patience is, you know, easier said than done. So it sucks in the moment sometimes, but you just got to trust the bigger picture.
Last night you guys played one of those great teams in the league. Did that show you how close do you think you are to being one of those teams? You said it's a big gap, but how did it feel?
I think it was just, I mean, we lost the third quarter, you know what I mean? We were, whatever it was, 17 points difference in the third. I mean, that's the game right there. The rest of the game was pretty much back and forth, even. They came out and they put together a credible third quarter, and again, that's how small that margin can be. You know what I mean? 1 quarter away is the difference, but we got what it takes. You know, we just got some growing to do, and everybody's on their own track, so you can't really compare teams, you know, our trajectory to theirs. Like, I'm sure they went through their struggles before they got to this point, and we're going through our growing pains before we get to the finished product of what we're going to be too.